Tyranny through fear that Kony has accomplished in his region of Africa has an undeniable effect on the psyche of the youth. However different the tactics, the tyranny over the minds of the youth perpetrated here in the U.S. is no less impactful and likely much more pervasive. In fact, the producer of the Kony 2012 video himself is a victim of this tyranny, and he demonstrates evidence of this in his video. Sadly, it has so affected his mind that it has lasted well into adulthood and will likely cause him to destroy his own life's work. For comparison, let's first look at the tyranny perpetrated by Kony and its lasting effects. It's clear from the video that the victims are impacted well beyond the physical grip of Kony. Fear rules the state of mind of those who have escaped his grasp and even those who have never come into contact with this army. The tyranny created by this fear of constant danger that controls the behavior of his victims and their communities. The hope of overcoming such tyranny is created by the organization Invisible Children and others in the area that have transformed communities, building schools, organizing basic security. On the other hand, there is less hope for victims here in the U.S. of ever being able to overcome the tyranny of the mind that has created the impression that we are all servants of our government. Ironically, in a nation founded in self-governance, we have made the government our master. Not only is this the view of those inside the government, but it is so implanted in our minds that it has become the solution to every problem we confront. This is even the case for the producers of the Kony 2012 video, that are tackling a problem halfway around the globe that does not and has no reason to involve the U.S. government, yet it becomes the end game of an otherwise amazingly successful story. With all of the things already accomplished, what sort of self-destructive mindset must it take to allow the U.S. government to take over your life's work? It seems so sad that the biggest viral video campaign ever pulled off will only lead to bureaucrats taking over all of the good work already accomplished. If only the founding principles of the Constitution were taught in our government schools instead of indoctrinating, enslaving the minds of our youth into believing that the U.S. government is their master. Only tyranny of the mind can explain such a twisted plan to stir up a large part of the populace to ask our representatives to violate the Constitution in order to take money from the same populace, only to waste most of that money in inefficient bureaucracy to form a posse to chase down a bad guy halfway around the world on a trail that is likely 6 years old. So, what is the solution? In the case of Kony, a more simple approach might be just to do what our State Department does every time it's trying to avoid a constitutional conflict: hire Blackwater. As for the U.S. tyranny over the minds of the young Americans, it's not as easy to solve, but it begins with you. Recognize that you are here for a reason, that no one else on this earth is greater than you, nor more important to the purpose for which you were created. No one is your master. With that, recognize that no one on this earth is lesser than you, for each has his own purpose. No one is your slave. Find the truth and the meaning of life. I've found it in the Bible and in Jesus Christ. But you must find it for yourself. Know the difference between right and wrong, good and evil. Always choose good over evil. With that in mind and love in your heart, fight to liberate yourself and others from tyranny and injustice.